Hello, and welcome to Godly Play. Today we'll be hearing the story of Joseph. So let's get ready with our 3-breath prayer. Remember to breathe in like you're breathing in all the air in the room, and to breathe out like you're pushing a ship across the ocean. So here we go. Breathe in. In the name of the Father. In the name of the Son. In the name of the Holy Spirit. We've been learning about the great family. The great family continued to grow. Jacob had 12 sons. His favorite son was Joseph. To show his love for Joseph, he gave Joseph a long-sleeved coat of many colors. This made the other brothers hate Joseph. One night, Joseph had a dream. He had a dream that he and his brothers were in a field collecting wheat. Joseph's wheat rose up. The brothers' wheat bowed down before him, before Joseph's wheat. He told his brothers the dream, and that made them hate him more because they thought they would have to bow down and worship Joseph. Joseph had another dream. In this dream, the sun, the moon, and the stars bowed down before him. Joseph told his father and his brothers about this dream, and this made his brothers very angry because they thought it sounded like Jacob and his wife and all the brothers would have to bow down before Joseph. One day the brothers were out in the field working. Jacob sent Joseph out to check on them. And when the brothers saw him, they decided to kill him. But the oldest brother, Reuben, talked them out of it. And instead, they dug a big pit and put Joseph in it and took his coat away from him. A caravan of traders came along, and they sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver. They took Joseph's coat and put goat's blood on it and took it back to Jacob and told him that Joseph had been killed by a wild animal. Jacob wept. The caravan took Joseph to Egypt, where they sold him to one of the Pharaoh's officers named Potiphar as a slave. Potiphar's wife had Joseph thrown into jail. But Joseph remained close to God, and God remained close to Joseph, even during this time. Now, some of the Pharaoh's servants were in the jail with Joseph, and they had dreams that they didn't understand, that Joseph could explain to them. When the Pharaoh's servants were released, they went back to the Pharaoh and learned that he'd been having dreams that no one understood or could interpret. So they told Pharaoh about Joseph, and the Pharaoh had Joseph brought to him. Now, the Pharaoh's dream had 2 parts to it. The first part was about 7 fat and healthy cows and 7 sick and thin cows. And the thin cows ate the healthy cows. The second part of the dream was about 7 healthy, big ears of corn and 7 thin, sickly ears of corn. And the thin ears ate the healthy ears. Now Joseph, after listening to these dreams, told the Pharaoh that what it meant was there would be 7 good years, and then there would be 7 bad years, and that the Pharaoh should save up grain so the people could be fed during the 7 bad years. So the Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of gathering the grain. Joseph was 30 years old. Now the lands all around Egypt had 7 good years and then 7 bad years. People came from far away seeking food, and they came to Joseph to beg for it. Jacob sent 10 of his sons to ask for food. When the brothers came to Egypt, they bowed down before Joseph, but they did not recognize him. He said he would give them some grain to take home, but he kept one of the brothers with him. The other brothers went home with the grain. Then all of them came back, including Jacob. This time Joseph told them who he was. And he said, "God sent me before you to preserve lives." Joseph and his family spent the rest of their days in Egypt. When Jacob died, Joseph took him home to be buried in the land of their fathers. Then Joseph and his brothers returned to Egypt, where years later their children would become slaves because the new Pharaoh didn't remember what Joseph did. Now I wonder, what part of this story is the most important? I wonder, what part of the story did you like the best? I wonder, where do you see yourself in this story? Or what part of the story was just for you? I wonder, is there a part of the story that could be left out and it's still the same story? Think about these things and remember the bag of grain that Joseph sent with his brothers, the dream that the Pharaoh had, Joseph going to Egypt but remembering to stay close to God, and God was close to him, that he was sold for 20 coins of silver, that he had 2 dreams, one where the moon and the stars and the sun all bowed down to him, the dream about the wheat where his brother's wheat bowed down to his wheat. Remember his father's love and that he gave him a coat of many colors. And remember that the great family continued to grow and that Jacob had 12 sons that would become the 12 nations. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you'll be back next week. Bye.